Welcome back to High Talk Real Talk, where the topics burn faster than your spliff. I am your host, Mad Trini, alongside my co-host and sister.
Hey y'all, it's Empress Davy. What's going on? Sorry, I had to check. My camera was going off. I had to check what was going on in my house.
Thought you fell asleep on me for a second.
Nah, okay. I'm here.
Okay.
What's up, y'all? It is your girl, Empress Davy. I think I said that already, but we're bringing it to you live from the backyard. So, in case y'all don't know, we do content creation. It is called Empire Content Creation Studios. This is one of the content creation rooms, and we have a few more. So, for all you creators out there, hit us up. You know, we know the owners, so might get a little discount, and the only way to do that is to like, subscribe, and share on all platforms, but especially on YouTube. Then we gonna work out a little something.
Definitely on YouTube. If you following us on YouTube, they're giving 50% off.
Oh, y'all heard that?
Hey.
Listen, Halloween Diwali special.
Hey. Not the Diwali special.
For y'all that don't know, we were just having a little debate about people in Trinidad knowing what Diwali is. So y'all drop comments below if you know what Diwali is, aside from the Indians.
Yeah. If you're a Trini, especially if you're a Yankee Trini, but if you're a Trini and you know what Diwali is, in comments let us know what Diwali is, because we got a debate going on, because some of us are saying that all peoples from all walks of life know what Diwali is, and some of us, aka the Mad Trini. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Matter of fact, listen.
So let's get into it. What we talking about today?
It's simple. How you feel about abortions?
Dang, that's not simple. You just came out.
Yeah.
You came out the gate.
Nah, I mean, it's simple. You know what I mean? If I was to ask you anything else, how you feel about murderers, or how you feel about statutory rapists, or know how you feel. Wow. So how you feel about abortion?
So for the most part, I am pro-choice. And why I say for the most part is I don't believe abortion is a form of birth control. And we all know somebody or somebodies, no judgments, but fact is fact, that uses abortion as a tool of birth control. But like I said, I'm pro-choice, so things happen. Situations happen. And unfortunately, that's one of the options.
Okay. Well, before I go to my next question, just to give a quick overlook of how I feel about abortion, I just feel like, especially me today as a grown man, I feel like if you had sex willingly, abortion shouldn't be available, period. If you willingly had sex, abortion shouldn't be allowed.
So there are circumstances where you do have sex willingly with protection and still can end up pregnant.
Heard.
So then do you still feel the same way about that?
I do.
Even when there's faulty protection?
Yes, because the only protection to pregnancy is abstinence.
Okay.
That's the only full proof. So even if you have sex with protection, you're taking the chance knowing that it's still a possibility. There's no guarantee to nothing once you're having sex.
Okay.
So if you're taking the chance and you happen to be that 10% or whatever the percentage is that gets pregnant, then grow up. You know what I mean? If you don't want to have that chance, because it's the same thing with STDs and AIDS. Like, even though you use protection, that doesn't mean you can't catch it. Do people stop having sex?
Nope.
You know what I mean? So
people definitely don't stop having unprotected sex neither.
So my question now.
Question number 2.
This is an honest question, right? And this is coming from me and a couple men's.
Oh Lord.
Right?
Here we go.
If a female has an abortion,
right,
should she be responsible to pay some kind of financial responsibilities? Like, should she be on like birth control or anything? I mean, like, not birth control, child support or anything like that?
For abortion?
Yeah, for abortion.
Child support for an abortion?
Correct.
Hi, I have a mic now.
Hey girl, you want to chime in?
Topic. So you're saying, just to reiterate your question, you said, should a woman have to pay child support if she gets an abortion?
Right.
On what child?
Okay. Oh.
So, all right, to answer your question, I actually saw a commercial the other day.
There's no child. Okay, go
that I think I saw actually a post, if I'm not mistaken, on social media that said some people consider that fetus a child, right? Because it's considered a person.
I was definitely going to go into that, but I want to
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I guess that's where the child support comes in, is if you get pregnant, the man should pay some sort of child support, is what I'm understanding.
Reason why I'm asking, because from a male's point of view, right? Like, from the time you tell us you're pregnant, what rights do men have? Like, from the moment you tell us you're pregnant, because even if you tell us, you come to us and say, hey, I'm pregnant, and we come to you as a grown man, like, listen, I understand you're pregnant, but I know I can't take care of a child. I know I'm not ready for a child. And honestly, I think we should just wait until we could financially take care of this. And you decide, no, I'm still going to have this child, right? Then we're still responsible.
Ooh, that's a lot of time.
So, in cases like that, then the woman should just be fully responsible for the child she gives birth to. I mean,
I agree.
Like,
Okay.
I mean, but like if you said I don't want to have this child, I don't want to be included. You go to court saying I told her I don't want to have this child. I told her I don't want to be included, and she said, and I still, he told me that, and I still decided to have a kid. Then
I
they're
think she
just
should
going to
be
give her full
fully
custody,
responsible.
and then they're going to be like, okay, well, are you okay with being completely, and if she says yes, then that's it. Like,
Absolutely
there's
not.
ways that can be taken care of.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Once that child is born, we're responsible.
So
We can go to court and I can tell the judge
Mm-hmm.
that I told you I wouldn't be able to take care of this child. And you still decided to go ahead and have this child.
So
I'm still responsible. As long as that DNA matches me,
Even if you don't sign the birth certificate?
it doesn't matter, because if the DNA match, you don't have to sign a birth certificate. Like, if you have a child next week and you think 2 years from now that, I slept with him, and you decide to take him to court, the court is going to demand him to go and take a DNA test.
that is true. They will make
Once
you
he
take a
takes that
test.
DNA test and that DNA matches that child, and it says 99.9% you the daddy, you paying.
I mean, at that point,
I
then
didn't know
she's
that.
trapping you. I mean, I don't
Exactly.
really know. The thing is, right? Like, the thing is, it happens both ways, just in different forms. Because
No, see, that
the thing
this is what I wanted
is-
to talk about.
let
Go
me-
ahead.
let me explain.
Uh-huh.
thing is, it happens both ways in different forms.
Uh-huh.
It's not going to happen, obviously, in the same form. Women don't have penises.
Right.
So there are some men in certain situations who impregnate women on purpose to prevent them from being able to do things or having access to do things. When a woman has a child on your body, just regardless, that's a lot. And then when you have a kid, like, you give birth to them, you're responsible for the child to some degree. Granted, I'm not saying that the dad's not, going to have to pay child support or anything. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying, like, it happens both ways. I'm not saying it doesn't.
It doesn't
I'm saying it happens both ways.
It doesn't happen both ways. Let me explain to you why it doesn't happen both ways. Because you still have a choice. What you're failing to understand is that as a female, at any point in time, once you get pregnant, any decision moving forward is yours.
So
if a child comes, if a child doesn't come, if the father's in the light, like anything with that child, decision is yours. I could be the happiest father on earth. I can go and shop and get prepared and childproof the house, and then you just come home one day and say, I don't want to do this. And you go and have an abortion.
So here's why you're wrong. So abortion in the state of Florida, it's banned at 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
So there's certain states that have limitations where if a woman wants to get pregnant, and let me tell you, most women find out that they're pregnant typically around the 2 month to a
Absolutely. 6 to 8
3
weeks.
So it usually
6 to
takes-
8 weeks is
Yeah,
when
6
a
to 8
woman
weeks,
normally will start to.
would be able to know. So what I'm
Right.
saying is, like, yes, you are correct. They do have, but they don't have a choice for like, you can't, if you're already buying the baby stuff, like, she can't get an abortion at that point.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Do y'all know the longest you're allowed to do in the state in the United States? And the last state that allows
used
you
to
to
be
go
6
how
months.
far?
It
You
used
know
to
how
be
far
6
that is?
months.
Used to.
be 6 months.
Okay, how is it? How far is it now?
6 weeks.
Roe versus
No, I'm
Wade
not
got
talking about.
overturned.
I'm not talking about in Florida. I'm talking about within United States.
Roe versus Wade got overturned, making it is
It did.
state's choice. So there is no legislation in the state in the United States. So you would have to. It depends on the state that you are currently living in.
Correct. And what I'm asking y'all is, do y'all know the state with the longest state frame and what that frame is?
California.
Okay, you know how long that is?
I believe it is. Let me search it up right now. Actually, I'm not just gonna say things out of my booty hole. I'm gonna just search it up.
Yeah, search it up. Search it up. Because what kills me is that y'all try to make it seem like because in Florida, it doesn't mean if it's in Florida. You know how when they started doing BBLs in the United States? You know what year that was?
What, right after COVID?
Oh, okay, so you know how long people have had BBLs? Where were they going?
It was a little
DR?
bit before. It was before COVID. They
I mean,
said
it was definitely before. It was definitely before COVID. But what I'm saying is, it didn't originate in the States. So where were they going?
DR.
So you're trying to tell me females will travel to DR to get their bigger, but they won't travel to another state
Oh
to
yeah,
get
yeah,
abortion?
yeah.
In the
Definitely.
state of California, it says that California only limits abortions to after the point of vitality. So it depends on the actual woman and what the fetus looks like. So if the fetus is a living fetus without any health conditions, then they are not then they can't, or sorry, if the fetus has health conditions in which it would be dying or would kill the mother if it gave birth, then they would allow an abortion.
But you can't
it goes based off
determine
of
that until the fetus is like 4 months at least. You can't determine if the fetus has any disease.
Yes, you can.
Now,
you can determine
nowadays
that
they
by,
can do
like, what?
they can
What are you
do
talking
tests
about?
on the fetus.
What are you talking
What kind
about?
of diseases are we talking about?
Like the genetic
Like-
diseases. Like if you have, like, for instance,
Like a handicap of some sort.
right, like you can tell how a fetus developed. Like doctors, that's what they do. They can tell if a fetus is developing wrong. Like, so for instance, a fetus usually starts to develop a heart. Mm-hmm. The heart is one of the first organs of vitality that they start to develop very early on. If that heart has any issues or a deformity, they can tell, when the baby is about to come out, like that might kill you as the mother. So at that point, the mother is faced with the choice of whether
So
or not
how
they
long-
want to
how
do
long does
an
it take-
abortion or go ahead and give birth to a stillborn.
How long does it take to determine the heart?
heartbeat?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. When does a baby have? When?
I think it's a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
only a
it's
couple of weeks.
within the 6 week period.
What I'm saying is that the father still doesn't have a choice.
5.5 to 6 weeks of conception. So they can find out within 6 weeks whether or not the baby is going to be alive.
viable.
Okay, but back to what I was saying. The father doesn't have a choice, is what I'm saying. I mean, even if a man gets you pregnant, when you find out you're pregnant, you can still have an abortion. Like, if it was something that he did bad mind, like, you can still have an abortion. Like, you're not forced to have that baby.
Right.
That's why abortions are, that's the only reason why I feel like abortions are available. Like, you know what I mean? But, and I'm not even talking about that condition. In that situation, you should have the baby. But anyway, you still have a choice to have an abortion, though. You know what I mean? And then if you decide to have an abortion, there's no responsibility to you. It's okay for you to say, no, I don't want the child. Mm-hmm. So why is it not okay for a man to say that? Like, why do we have so much to protect females.
They can say it. No one's stopping you from saying, I don't want to have the kid.
But I think that goes
Just say
back
it.
to every other.
Just
But
say
I'm
it.
saying it still doesn't take away our responsibility.
Say it to judge. Look at him.
It doesn't
I'm
take
not
away,
paying that.
It doesn't take
They're
away
gonna
our
arrest you.
responsibility.
You go in jail for a few months.
Like, wouldn't it be
hold you
fair?
accountable.
Wouldn't it be fair that if you was to tell a man that you're pregnant and he was to say, I can't take care of this child, or I'm not ready for this child, or I just flat out don't want this child, and he says that as soon as you tell him, and you decide to still go have a child, wouldn't it be fair to take that child's that man completely out of their responsibility of that child?
Yeah,
But can
absolutely.
he
And
sign
plenty
over
of
his
people
parental
do
rights
that.
at that
Yeah,
point? He can sign over his parental rights.
People
Signing
do that
over
though.
your
Like,
parental rights doesn't take away your parental
but
responsibility.
people do
child
that.
Support, child support exists because half of these dudes don't want to have nothing to do with the child.
But legally signing over parental rights still holds you responsible.
right, that's what I'm saying. Like, if
I
it's
don't
agreed
think
upon
so.
by both the mother and the father, saying the mom's like, okay, then you don't want to. That's what I'm saying. Like, if it depends on communication and what type of person you
If
are.
the mother, you heard what you just said. If the mother is in agreement, yes. But if you tell that, and 9 months later the mother decides, well, I know he said that, but he just. And at the moment you change your mind, you got rights. There's nothing we can fight about it. Even if we say it the first week you're pregnant, you find out you just missed your period and you get curious and you find out you're 2 weeks pregnant. And I look at you and be like, listen, I don't want you to be my baby mother. I don't want no child with you. I don't want nothing to do with you.
But then, okay, so then that goes back to what you said, abstinence, right? But on the other end of that also is like, if you know pregnancy is a possibility and you don't want a child with this person, why are we having sex?
Okay, all right. And I agree with you. I agree with you.
yeah, you don't whap your will. You just
I
going
agree with
for
you
it. That's
100.
crazy.
I agree with you 100%. So then, why is abortion even allowed if you wasn't forced to have sex?
Because there are some circumstances
Like,
when a woman is raped.
Yes.
again, why is abortion allowed if you wasn't forced to have sex?
What?
why is it allowed if you weren't forced? If
you
you willingly had sex.
If you willingly had sex, why is abortion allowed?
But again, sometimes you will use all forms of birth control or...
There is no form of conception that is 100% except
foolproof.
for abstinence.
Right.
Just like he said, condoms can break, birth control can't work. You can quite literally just accidentally, some people have the birth control that they put in their arm. I've seen pictures of babies coming out holding them. They don't, like, sometimes they don't work. It's true, it happens. Sometimes they just don't work. And if you don't find out past that 6 weeks mark, then you're just like, I gotta have this kid. Like, I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, because it happens. Like, people genuinely just don't know. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you.
Okay, so they say you miss your first period. You're waiting a whole month, okay? It's 28 days for your menstrual cycle to kick in. By the time, and then it can be a false negative if you take it within that first 6 weeks.
And there's plenty of times where people miss their periods. You can miss your periods from fibroids, from having cysts in your vagina.
Correct.
Okay, well, y'all can check this. I was told you got, like, what'd she say? 4 months in Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas.
4 months.
You could check. I could be wrong. You could check.
In Arkansas?
Up to 4 months?
Up to.
That's murder at that point. Sorry.
I think it's murder, period.
That's a developed child at 4 months.
Calm down. Pipe down a little bit.
I think it's murder, period.
It's murder, period?
That's just my. I mean, is it not?
No.
How is it not? If you don't do nothing, a life will occur. If you don't stop any progress,
so like
a life will occur.
You don't stop. If you stop the progress prior to their life occurring, then it's not life.
Okay, so is disrespect?
That's the abortion.
It's still murder just really because you take away the life before it happens and then call it murder. Like the life,
if the life never existed, it was never taken away. What are you talking about?
It doesn't exist because you took it away.
Yes, because it never started in the first. What are you talking about?
So then, what are you stopping then? What do you
right? So when you are pregnant and you have baby growing in you, you don't have a heartbeat. In a lot of states, not yet, until later on. If you're like, okay, well, I don't have a heartbeat, but there is, because what it is usually, it's when it's usually an egg first with it's a fertilized egg. It's like a chicken egg.
Mm-hmm.
It's just yolk, yolk in there.
Correct.
So let me ask you this, actually, hypothetical. When you have an egg, do you see that as you murdering, or do you see eating an egg the same as eating meat, as in like it's an animal that you have killed to be able to consume it for food? Because that's what a baby is inside of a belly. It's literally just an egg.
No.
What do you mean? No. It's scientifically.
All right, because listen.
Like that's what it is.
I don't know what to tell you. No, listen. If I take an egg out my fridge, right?
That once was a chicken.
It came from a chicken. That wasn't once. It came from a chicken.
Okay.
So it was. Yeah.
Y'all can believe what y'all want to believe. The eggs y'all eating didn't come from no chicken.
Okay.
The eggs I'm eating do come from a chicken because I get it from my mama's yard.
Okay, well maybe the ones
after the chicken drop it.
Have you never had fresh eggs from a chicken?
The ones y'all getting, because the ones I'm getting from Walmart, the Great Value.
They come from chickens. They come from chickens in very insane conditions, but I mean, they come from chickens. The chickens are like
they're being forced to produce.
I don't even believe those come from chickens no more.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to eat them eggs if you saw what them chickens
look like.
I'm telling you now.
I don't eat eggs no more, so
you
that's why I
to.
feel comfortable talking about it. Eggs and hot dogs, I stopped eating them.
But like this is what I'm saying. Like it's when it's inside of your body is just an incubator until it can. So like a lot of times, for instance, you'll see science experiments of people getting an egg from the grocery store, and they'll inject it with sperm, and it usually takes them. Well, chickens, obviously, they germinate way faster than humans. They'll put them in an incubator, and it takes them a while before you would actually start to see it developing into something. There's no heartbeat. Then when a heartbeat starts to come, then they're starting to be like, okay, now I will let this egg stay in this incubator. I do not have to do anything in order to create life, because now it is life on its own. It can sustain itself. I believe that life, that things are considered life when they can sustain themselves with hear me out, without being inside of somebody else. Without being inside of somebody else. The only other life that can sustain itself with being inside of somebody else, what is that? I'm asking, what is it?
A fishy?
A parasite.
I wasn't even listening. I'm sorry. I was high.
Tapeworms.
Oh, my God.
I hear what you're saying, but all right. So
I mean, it's just science. It's not like I hear. Like it's just facts. Like I can't.
I hear you. I hear, but when you find out you're pregnant, right? That is an egg that is getting ready to be developed. Like it's not just like
Getting ready.
Our Earth is Earth.
A human?
Yeah, a human is coming. Like, that's just how I see it. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I'm not. First of all, I'm not eating no fresh eggs. So none of the eggs that I have in my fridge is about to be nothing.
But
you know what I
sometimes,
mean? But the egg what you're getting rid of is something that's coming. It's a life that's coming. You're ending a life. Whether you do it when the life is actually here or you prevent the life from coming, you're still stopping a life.
I see ending a life as in ending a life, something that is currently being lived that is being put to an end.
But
If
in
it's
her
not
stomach, it's not
even
currently living. Is
It's
a
not-
heartbeat
it's-
living? Can it really living?
I just told you, if it doesn't have a heartbeat, it doesn't have a brain, there's no nerves. It's literally a clump of cells up until a certain point in time. If it's a clump of cells up until a certain point in time, that's not light. Like literally, quite literally, there has been cases in which doctors will confuse like fresh fetuses or like fresh fertilized eggs sometimes for cysts because it's literally a clump of cells.
Literally.
Like it literally, when you see it on ultrasound, it's just like a clump when you first see it. And then eventually when you can see a heartbeat is usually when you see more of a formation. And at that point, yes, it is a living organism feeding off of the inside of its mother or whatever. But like, after, like, before it has a heartbeat, prior to that, quite literally, it looks like, literally, if you put it next to what a uterine cyst looks like it's bar for bar. It looks practically the same. A lot of times, sometimes like your body, if you get a cyst in your uterus, sometimes your body will treat it as if it is a fetus, thinking it is a fetus. And a lot of times, I mean, a lot of women who end up developing cervical cancer or uterine cancer, it'll stay in there and their body will treat it and try to help it grow.
Also,
thinking that it's like, oh yeah, this is a fetus, when it's not, because it looks very similar and it's very similar in its genetic makeup. It isn't until, like with the egg, when it starts to have its heartbeat, at that point, then it's just like your body starts to adjust to be like, oh, okay, this is something alive. Now I need to start giving it my nutrients through my food on purpose. I need to start giving it this. I need to add extra layers to protect it. I need to expand your belly so that way you can have more space for it because now it is going to grow.
Right. But I also feel like I think they use abortion as a form if you have an ectopic pregnancy.
Oh, yes.
Which
those
is
happen
when
too.
the egg is outside of the fallopian tube, which can be deadly to you and to the fetus. So they use abortion as a form because most ectopic pregnancies don't survive.
Yes.
I mean, listen, if it's not my child, do what you want to do. If it's not my child, do what you want to do. All I'm trying to fight is for us as men to have equal rights. Like,
Men, chime in. We want to know what y'all thoughts are.
As much as y'all was screaming about women rights, and not y'all specifically, but I'm just talking about females. Like, it's getting to a point where we not even respecting men or our decisions or nothing no more. We don't have. It's like we just got to go along with it. Like, we just team go along. It's like it's gotten to a point where it's beyond y'all don't have rights.
I think that also goes again two things actually to what I said. If you can't see this person being your baby mama, your wife, your whatever, why are we having sex?
Everybody pushes that, but also it goes into the system as well because I feel like there's not enough correct sexual education as well.
Agreed.
If we're going to be real. So some of them are just really quite literally misguided or uneducated young men who just don't know maybe all the conception or ways of conception, things of that sort. So I can completely understand on a man's side. Maybe they just quite literally just don't know ways. There are some men who are like, yeah, I got a good pull-out game, and they swear on their mama, and then next thing you know, they got twins. So, I mean, there's different situations. You have men who swear I got good pull-out game when they knew that if they just wore a condom, that they would have prevented that entire situation.
And all it takes is one. Even pre-cum can get you pregnant.
And people say that to women all the time. They're like, oh, well, if you didn't want to have a baby, why'd you have sex? If you didn't, like, people say it to women. It's on both ends. People say it to it's on both ends. People need to take responsibility on both ends.
Right. But in case you do find out before 6 weeks, correct? Listen to what I'm saying. In case you happen to find out you're pregnant before the 6 week mark or whatever the maximum mark is, if you don't want the child and you decide you don't want the child and you get rid of the child is gone, you have no financial responsibility, nobody can get mad at you, nobody can tell you nothing.
I mean, they can get mad at you, but
I mean, all right, they can get mad at you, but nobody can tell you nothing. There's no responsibility coming in your way. Your life is not ruined. Like, nothing happens to you. You just lost your child. You might can take some emotional damage, you know what I mean? But your child is gone. On a man's end point, once we slip up, There's no plan B. There's no abortion. There's nothing to get us out of it unless you choose to let us out of it.
But that's also a conversation you need to have with your partner. It also goes back to your communication.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, we do have
what communication?
to.
What communication can you possibly have?
What you mean? If you're pregnant and I don't want the child, then that should be a form of communication, some kind of, even before having sex. Yo, if there's a possibility that I can get pregnant.
Yeah, prior to
what
sex,
are we doing?
That's a valid conversation.
Do you want a child?
Realistically.
I hear you, right? But you can have a conversation with somebody and a female not want a child. You know what I mean? Understand about y'all. We're all emotional creatures. I'm not even gonna say y'all.
I'm glad you changed that.
We're all emotional creatures. You know what I mean? So you might be like on strong. I'm not having no kids. I'm not having no kids. And then slip up and get pregnant. Next you know, you found out you pregnant. Now you emotional. Now you attached to something that ain't even start growing yet. But as a female, you have a right to do that. Now you change your mind. Okay. Now, mind you, we had the conversation already. You changed your mind. You know what I mean? So now you already know where I stand, but you got a baby in you. You emotional. You feel like you attached to this baby. Now all of a sudden, you want to try this. You think you could be a mother. You ready for this. But we had the conversation before.
But then that should be a full-on responsibility for her.
No, yeah, I agree.
You heard what you said? It should be.
Yeah.
But legally, once that child is here, we're responsible.
So
financially.
Yeah, so with that, what do we do?
Aha. So like, this is why I say we need to start fighting for us now. We need to start having something in place to where men that's actually upfront and honest and real from jump say, hey, listen, I hear you, but I'm just not ready for this. This is not what I want.
So let me ask you a question, because I don't know. You're informing me. If we get a notarized letter stating, hey, if this said woman gets pregnant, I've already had a discussion with said woman that I want no responsibilities. I don't want to be responsible for nothing because I don't want to have a child. If you were to get a notarized letter with both signatures, would that hold up in court?
Yes,
that would hold up in court. Okay. That's one.
That's your solution.
However, that is a solution for who? Because
for both parties. That's a mutual thing. I mean, if you guys both do that, and that's what I'm saying. That's for both parties. Okay, so if you're talking about for one individual,
the ultra responsible party. I'm gonna say the ultra responsible party because I don't know. I personally don't know nobody that's, you know what I mean. Like if I'm talking to a young lady, and you know what I mean, and we get to a point where I feel like we out one night and we feel like I'm gonna smash that night. I don't think I'm gonna be like, let me go get a notarized letter.
that goes back to having a discussion.
But this is what I'm saying. But even like, I don't know because I don't know what female is gonna be like if you be like, even if she don't want no kids, be like, listen, man, hey, if we're gonna be having sex, I need you to sign something letting me completely out of all responsibility of being a baby father.
If you gonna have sex with somebody, that should have been a discussion y'all already had prior to having the sexual encounters.
Agreed.
And then at that point,
agreed. We need to start teaching our youngsters that.
We need to teach our youngsters a lot of things.
Yeah. We need to start
like contraception.
Here's the thing on my take on this too. You gotta understand when it comes to stuff like that, how y'all talking about if y'all have sex and one party don't want to be a part of it, it's easier said than done. People may say adulting. But when you're in that predicament, a female could say anything, and then literally, and I'm saying this for females, because as a guy, for myself.
Yes, because you can't speak for us.
Say, for me, I'm going to say me in this case.
Okay.
Like, if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it because I'm giving you my word. On a female perspective, they change literally in, I would say, seconds or minutes.
That's a personal situation. You're talking about somebody personally.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't put that on a whole.
Well, I mean, in female in general, they just change their minds all the time.
Again, you're talking about specifically.
Do y'all?
You're talking specific situations.
Okay.
Because I know men that's the same exact way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I do too.
I know females that's the complete opposite.
I do too.
So I wouldn't say but that is specific. You have somebody in mind right now that you're looking at.
Not name no probably you do.
Yeah,
you thinking about a specific
we're not
case.
naming nobody, but you got a whole face, body, fingers, toes in your head right now that you're looking at as you say that.
I think I should put this mic down.
You do.
This mic needed to go down.
Definitely.
This mic, especially with this topic. Yeah, I think.
Definitely.
I'm gonna exit this one.
Yes. Exit stage left.
Yeah.
What else you got? Because I know you had a lot to say, boy.
Also, right? So, like I was telling y'all, me and my therapist have been talking like damn near daily, right?
Okay.
And it's because of my therapist where I even feel comfortable talking about certain things, but it's crazy how we don't pay attention to stuff until stuff is broken down to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he asked me 2 months ago, right? My ex, he asked me, he said, has she ever seen the wife that you're looking for? I said, what do you mean? He says, we talk about what you want your wife to be. We talk about what you look for in a wife. Mm-hmm. We talk about how big you are with respect.
Like, have you ever seen somebody in person? Like,
yeah. Has she ever seen an example of a wife that you're looking for?
Okay.
I said, I don't think I've ever seen an example of a wife that I'm looking for.
I think I have a few. If my idea of what you're looking for in a wife, I think I have one particular person that we both are mutually close to that would probably fit that bill. I ain't gonna mention names.
That I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Who? No, mention name. Because if it's somebody that's a compliment.
It's one of our sisters.
Oh, that's a very good compliment.
Who you're talking about,
and I think I know exactly who you're talking about.
Exactly. We all do. That's
There's
what
only
I'm saying.
one person on this earth she can be talking about.
I can see
what I
that
mean?
as the prime example because not for nothing and not to sound funny, but I admire their marriage, their relationship, and how much even after. All right, so after I say this, it's gonna tell the world, but we know who we're talking about. After spending 25 years with each other,
they're not sick of each other.
They're not sick of each other. They are still very much in love. And I'm not saying that that's an act that they do in front of people because we've seen them on a day in, day out basis.
In their house.
You know, I look up to that couple because that's what I value as a marriage, right? My parents were married 42 years before my dad passed. No, it was more like 39-ish years. Anyway, give or take. They had their ups and downs, as do all marriages, couples, relationships, whatever have you. But they stuck it out. And I would say that particular person, that individual, I think would be the prime example of what I feel you would look for in a wife.
I mean, yeah, no. I mean, I understand what your therapist was saying, though. Like 100%. Like, what type of role models do we really grow up with? Like,
at this point,
that's basically
right.
That's basically.
But at this point, like, there are hardly any because people, in my opinion, people don't value the same meaning to marriage as it used to be when our parents were growing up.
Well, let's be real.
Okay.
A lot of times when the older generation got married, a lot of times it wasn't the healthiest relationships, and they only stayed together because they felt like they had to, because they felt like, oh, this is our society and our culture. We're not allowed to get divorced. In our culture, I just got to deal with it. So when you grow up and you have parents who are constantly bickering and they're aggressive towards each other, that can't be a good idea for a child to see, because then a kid's going to grow up thinking like, okay, this is normal for relationships. Until they get older and then they actually learn from their own experience. But like, at least for me as a kid, when I'm seeing bickering, I'm thinking, oh, word, that's just normal. Like, that's what couples fight. That's how it is. That's how it's supposed to be. Couples are angry. That's how it is supposed to be. In reality, most of the times, you don't even really need to fight with your partner. You can just talk things out. You can just learn how to communicate. A lot of times, you can just sit down, have a real conversation, be like, hey, this is the issue that I have, and this is how what you said made me feel. And if you were to do this, it would resolve the issue. And if your partner is willing to be like, okay, you know what, I'm sorry, I'll take responsibility, and I'm willing to do that to help resolve the issue. Like, there's ways to communicate to people, but you don't learn that until you actually go out in the field and experience it.
Yeah.
They didn't even have good, like, role
They
models.
didn't.
Because
They
their
didn't.
parents were getting married at, like, 12.
Right.
And
Correct.
having 10 kids. Like,
Correct.
there's never been a really, like...
I think
and
my
before
grandmother was
that, people
12
were-
when she got married. Like,
people were happily beating on their wives before. Like, we have to be real. Like, we can idolize and look up to that, but we have to be able to notice and realize, like, how that really affected our brains and how that, like, worked with our minds.
Now, understand, I hear all of that, but there was
he's coming with a rebuttal
of the opposite. Just as there was the complete opposite. There was people that was together. There was people that was happy. There was people that stayed together, respected each other, did for each other, provided for each other. Like, there was the complete opposite as well. Like, let's not act like, I mean, even today, there's people out there that's still beating each other. I mean, it's still going on. Nothing has changed, but
it's just more shamed in society to beat up on somebody. That's what I'm saying. Like, things are different in society. That's what I'm saying. Like, how society perceives those relationships. If they went down, how they went down, like, if you saw the certain relationships of, like, your great-grandparents and they were to be in front of you, and you looking at that now as an adult, you're just like, oh, my gosh, are y'all good? Like, what's going on? And, of course, there were people who were happily in love back then. I mean, chivalry was definitely a heavy thing. You had people writing Shakespearean poetry talking about, I'll rip my heart out and feed it to the sun just to touch your skin type beat. Like, they were really, like... It was true, though. Like, it's true. That's, like, people were really in love. I'm not discrediting
the behind the camera woman
always
got some
I'm just saying, I'm not discrediting.
good stuff.
I'm not discrediting the good relationships out there.
Right.
However, I'm going to speak on what was normalized in many relationships that were out there. And it's just kind of, it was just facts. Like,
I mean, I grew up, like I said, my parents had their ups and downs. I grew up in a household that was a little chaotic. There were parts, but they still loved each other. Like, 40 years later, they're still holding hands. I mean, my parents weren't big on dating, going out, things like that, because their generation was always work and save money. That's their love language, right? We can purchase big purchases, cash, whatever. But there are healthy relationships. There are. And the same couple that I'm talking about is, I think, a perfect example to us as the younger generations, as what a healthy relationship should look like.
Right.
I be asking them all the time for the tea. Like, how y'all...
And they'll tell you, we learned. Trial and error. We learned.
No, I ain't gonna lie. I look up to them. I look up to them, especially the opposite side. You know what I mean? Like, he's probably like the only man, sadly to say, the only man of age that I could look up to, I could still actually enjoy company with. And
absolutely.
And it not be somebody that I'm going to hang with, that I'm going to have to feel bad for what I did the next day.
And not only that alone, but you can have, with this particular gentleman, you can have an intellectual conversation. Or if he sees you slip, he going to pull you to the side and tell you to pull your socks up.
But that's why I love that. I call them what I call them for.
Exactly.
I call them,
and I do the same. Like, I genuinely, that's, big bro and big sis, because
father. I call them what I call them. They're such a wonderful couple. They're a great example.
But even as individuals, even as individuals, not even the couple, right?
As individuals, yeah.
As individuals, they are genuinely, like, I don't even know how to say it. Like,
they're just great people. We
are truly blessed.
We're just gassing them because we're sitting there just gassing. Thank you for the soundboard, by the way. We're sitting here just
we are blessed.
Them.
I feel like it's a blessing to us to have them in our lives as an example, as successful individuals as well as a successfully married couple.
Right. I didn't grow up having an
example.
Parent
right.
home. I didn't grow up in that situation. And unfortunately, some of the people that my mom would date would just treat her like crap. And I would have to see that. So when I was, I would say about 11, probably going into 12, and we finally were introduced to them, that changed my perspective on I think
agree.
people don't realize how much impacts kids. People don't realize how smart kids
They
are.
don't.
They
don't.
underestimating kids. Like, man, they're a kid. They're not going to. Kids understand so much, and yet they don't understand everything, if that makes sense.
It does.
Like for a lot
I
of things,
say it all the time
kids don't
because
care. Like,
I used to have a conversation like, oh, a particular couple doesn't fight in front of their kids because they don't want their kids to know they fight. Your kids know y'all fighting.
they hear it. They know. They can just.
They can see.
sense the
They
energy.
read body language.
Right.
So
Y'all
no
not
matter
fighting
how
each
much you
other.
try to hide it, oh, we gonna hold off till the kids go to bed, and that's when we gonna argue. No, they know what's up.
And
They
then
know
the
what
kids-
time it is.
And then they're gonna wonder why their kids end up bottling up everything because they learn from example.
Exactly.
They see that you're bottling everything up. They see that they know that you're doing everything in secret. They learn from example. They're like, well, if mommy and daddy move in secret, I guess I got to move that way too.
right.
Let's be real.
Aha. So there we go. Parental influence.
Oogie.
That was a good segue.
I love it.
You want to get it on?
You're
I love it. It just rolled.
Not today.
Oh man! If anything else could be magical.
He's
Oh.
zooming out on this one.
Parental guidance.
Yes.
Parental guidance. And
Okay.
the reason why I want to talk about this is because I feel like we skip a lot around a lot of the stuff that we don't realize kids actually acknowledge. Like, for instance, we try to make sure if our pocket, like if we grew up broke, we try to make sure our kids don't grow up broke. We want to buy them everything.
Man.
You know-
I don't believe in that.
Listen, my mom
If-
was getting me new toys. I was playing with the cardboard box.
Yeah,
listen,
You know what I mean? Like, for real, like-
I honestly, it's hard dating someone with a child not having kids because I try not to overstep my boundaries. However, if there are certain actions that are happening, sometimes I have to speak up because I understand you wanting to give your kids better than what you had growing up. I completely understand that because we grew up poor. Not poor, but
Right.
you know what I'm saying, right? I feel like that takes away from the responsibility of the child learning life. If everything is handed to you and you never know what struggling is, I feel like you're doing a disservice.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay.
be real with you.
I don't agree with that.
I think it's.
I don't agree with.
not
I
so
think.
much.
I think a lot of this. Like, again, I feel like we forget that having a child turns you not only into a mother or father, it turns you into a parent, and parenting is what we skip over these days. We don't parent no more. You know what I mean? We give tablets and
The TV
You know what I mean?
and-
We put you in front of a tablet. Here's your phone.
Right.
You know what I mean? If we got company over, go on your tablet, go in the corner. Like, we don't parent no more.
No.
You know what I mean? We don't sit down and show kids how to
Do homework.
manners at a table. You know what I mean? How to not talk to adults when you know what I mean? How to say
How-
excuse me.
How to not be in an adult conversation.
Correct. We don't
Because
teach
we
these
grew
kids.
up. Listen, you
get
know
me
when
started.
mommy was
Don't get
talking
me
or my
started.
aunties was talking when my mom, you couldn't be around. You go where kids go.
But if you think about it, our generation,
Mm-hmm.
we used to complain about that. And that's the parenting that we're missing.
T. Yeah, he clocked it.
We the generation that used to complain about parenting.
Clocked it.
Right.
So parenting is gone, and now we seeing the
The
comes.
results. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
I blame us because at this point we not parenting at all no more.
Not at all. Not at all.
We not parenting at all.
I
no more.
actually, I was at the airport a couple months back, and it looked like I was a grandmother. So the parents weren't even in the picture,
Uh-huh.
and the grandmother is sitting there legit on the phone, and the kid is in the stroller screaming loud with a tablet in their hand.
No. Let's talk about something real quick because
Let's talk.
grandparents, I'm assuming, well, it depends because we have two generations of grandparents right now where it's like people in you guys' generation
Right.
and obviously still like the baby boomers, older people. if this is somebody who is within your generation, then what Daryl is saying is very accurate. Because if you don't grow up, you're not really parenting your kids, and then you see them have grandkids. And in general,
went out the window.
They're always softer with the grandkids.
Of course.
So if they weren't even parenting their own kids, they just gonna look at it like, that's not my problem. That's not even like, I'm just babysitting in their eyes.
Like it's crazy. Like, it's crazy because I sit back and for some reason I'm the type that I don't sit back and think about tomorrow or sit back and think about next week.
You think about back in the day?
No, I sit back and think about next year.
Oh, okay.
5 years from now, 10 years from now. So I'll sit around and look at our situation, right? Mm-hmm. Like I'll think back when I was Amira age and look at how times was, and I'll look at us now, and then I'll think about, well, damn, when Amira is my mother's age, those kids gonna be in trouble.
Nah, not with me. At least not with me. Hey, all I'm gonna say is
those kids are gonna be in
majority.
trouble.
So let me tell y'all something. I can say, and I feel like a lot of people within your generation can also say this. A lot of people in the younger generation are very accountable when it comes to their mental health, when it comes to therapy, and when it comes to trying to fix generational trauma. That's a huge thing that's been going on. Everybody hears it nowadays, generational trauma, and you hear it amplified by the younger generations. So to say that, oh, they're in trouble, just because it's been going in a linear direction, you hear that people are willing to change things, and you see that generational trauma is now being a topic that's discussed, and people are now taking the active steps to deal with it. Me personally, I already know. In my head, I've already said I've always wanted kids. Even when I was younger, I was like, I want kids, I want a daughter. In my head now, I'm always thinking just like, okay, how do I make sure I do not transfer whatever issue I'm going through to my future children? I actively do that. And my friends, all of them do the same thing. My friend recently had a conversation with her mom and convinced her mom to go to therapy just like I did mine. It is active. Like, we actively are trying to work on this. So I don't want to.
I don't think it's your generation. I think it's the generations after y'all.
I understand that.
I'm not talking about you're in your 20s.
What that got to do with anything?
We talking about the younger the generation after.
Oh,
after
the babies, the babies.
The babies.
18 and under.
18 is still in my generation.
Yeah.
Like Gen Alpha is.
I'm thinking like
Gen
16-ish.
Alpha, but they're kids. You guys can't project how a kid is going to be a parent. They're kids. They're going to do stupid stuff. Just like you did, just like I did.
But this is what I'm saying. That's if they leave childhood without becoming a parent.
But how we gonna know?
But this is what I'm saying. A
Oh,
lot
if
of
they
them.
leave childhood without becoming a parent.
Correct.
A lot
Y'all
of
have
them.
the highest rate of teen pregnancy. They have some of the lowest.
Hey,
because we have more
don't
sex
put us out.
education.
Don't put us out there like that.
No, I'm just
Don't
saying.
put us
I'm
out
just
there like
saying.
that.
Like we have more sex education that's available realistically. So I'm not even gonna hold like y'all are. I'm not gonna hold y'all and be like, you guys are just little hornballs. Like no,
I mean,
like
we were.
realistically, you guys just didn't have.
And was.
You didn't have access to that. Those younger generations, actually, they have some of the lowest. My generation has some of the lowest birth rates, and they're projected to almost eradicate some populations because they don't want to have kids.
I think two things. Our schools started giving a sex education class. However, I think the difference now is having that open dialogue with parents. Right?
Correct.
I know for me, I'm still a virgin.
Don't put your mic down. Put your mic down.
Right. Because in our eyes, well, in my eyes, my parents ain't supposed to know that. But that wasn't an open dialogue to say, hey, this is what happens if you have sex, blah, blah, blah. This is how to prevent getting, you know what I'm saying? Like, to your point of there's more sexual education now, right?
And as a difference, like literally,
it is.
Direct reflection. My mom, when I had she was willing to sit down and talk to me because she experienced teenage pregnancy. Because teenage pregnancy rates were so rampant in your generation, I can say this, and I feel like y'all don't be giving your generation enough credit, because I'm always give y'all credit where it's due.
I appreciate it.
I feel like y'all are always like dogging on your own generation, talking about, man, we messed up. We don't know nothing. Look at what we did. But realistically, like, y'all are more willing to have those open dialogues with your children. The reason why your kids are starting to talk about generational trauma and trying to fix it is because you inspire them to some degree to want to be able to fix whatever damage is done.
But I also think, like, for me, and I can only speak for me,
Right.
I didn't want to follow that generational
Period.
trauma.
Right, exactly.
So even with my younger sisters and my nephew, my nephew grew up like my brother, right? I always wanted to have a comfortable environment for them to have an open dialogue about anything. Because I used to tell them, I would rather you learn it from me or for us to have that discussion rather than you going out there and learning it willy-nilly from somebody else who's going to steer you wrong.
Or on the internet.
Right. Well,
There's
back then
lots
we
of
didn't
sites.
have internet. We had Encyclopedia
There's
Britannica.
a lot of websites nowadays, and people think that they can just.
Right, but I wanted to change that because I knew I grew up in an environment where I was afraid to talk to my parents about certain things because we used to get scolded. It was frowned upon.
Period.
So I took it upon myself to be able to have that open forum and that open dialogue like, hey, I'm here if y'all want to ask questions, if y'all want to do stupid stuff. I'd much rather you do certain things with me and I know that you're doing it in my face and you're safe
Right.
than going out there and somebody else, like I said, steering you wrong or you run into the wrong person and they lead you down an ugly road.
Right. Right. Exactly. It's true. It's true.
So I
Influences,
think
man.
as an older sister, as an older auntie, I think my niece and my nephew, they don't call me auntie. They call me by my name. You know what I'm saying? My family name. But we have an open dialogue even to now in their 30s.
Yeah.
My niece will hit me up, auntie, auntie, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Like, she'll talk to me about her life. My nephew, he'll talk to me about his life when we get together. So that makes me feel good because I didn't want to have them feel like there was nobody on their side like when I grew up.
Right.
And it wasn't, I'm not going to say that my parents did a bad job. They just didn't know how to handle those types of conversations because, as we said earlier, they didn't have that example, right? They grew up in strict households. We grew up in strict households, but I knew what I was lacking growing up. So I wanted to break that curse.
Yeah, so back
I
in the
wanted to
day-
break that trauma.
Back in the day, some people ain't learned about sexual intercourse until the night of their wedding. That was the first time they heard about it and the first time they had
They
to try to
experienced
make it
it,
work.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heard about it?
Back in the day, what? Back in
Yeah.
the day, they didn't speak. I'm talking about when I say back in the day, I'm talking about like our great grandparents at this point,
Oh,
like
okay,
older.
okay, okay.
Yeah, I'm
Our
not talking about-
grandparents, because my grandmother got married at 12. What
Well,
the hell you know at 12
When
years
I say great
old?
grandparent, when I say great grandparent, that would be equivalent to grandparent.
Right,
for you.
right,
So
right.
I'm just saying, like it's a different, it's a
It's a different
generation
era.
now.
Yeah.
I don't like your breakdowns today. I feel like she's coming for us today. I don't know.
I feel quite the opposite, actually.
Even
She
in the
gave our
90s,
generation
some
some
people didn't even know what was happening until the day of the birth.
basically.
Literally, it was like, oh.
Well,
should we
no,
prepare
no,
for
no. You used to be able to know your gender at 6 months.
It was later.
In like the 90s?
Yes, you were able to know your gender at 6 months.
I remember in the 90s when we used to do baby showers. The vaguely stuff I remember.
I mean, it's not as extravagant as gender reveals are today,
Oh, yeah, no,
but
that's crazy.
parents were,
There
yeah.
was no such thing as there were no gender
No,
reveals.
hell
back in
no,
the day.
there wasn't.
Never,
Yeah,
baby
gender
shower.
reveals.
They had a baby shower. You didn't know what the
that's
child
just
was till the
something-
child was
yeah.
born, but the parents were able to find out at 6
the
months.
Gender reveal is like a second drive-through at McDonald's. It's just unnecessary to me.
It
It's
is.
It's 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 unnecessary. It's unnecessary. It's
So we're really
unnecessary.
comparing
There at
babies
6
to
months they could
fast food
they could
restaurants
test.
It's unnecessary. It's just
babies to fast food. How-
Listen,
it's
sir,
unnecessary.
sir.
Gender reveal, like, bro, just tell me if it's a boy or a girl. You have to have a whole event. A whole event.
Yeah, it's crazy now.
Come on.
I had a
It's just
gender
it's extra. It's
It's extra for us.
extra.
It may not be extra for them.
It's extra.
Cause you don't know what battle they went through to get pregnant.
Listen, you.
I like,
But
I
you
like
know how
my
much people
family
are just
being around
doing it to
me,
keep
so
up with
the
social
gender
media?
reveals
Well,
doesn't
I
matter
mean,
very
we're
much.
not talking about them.
That's majority of the people that's doing it.
Facts, but we're not
You
talking
know
about
what I mean?
that. We're
Because
talking about the
social media
actual
didn't
people.
exist. Would you seriously have an event for gender reveal? Like, come on.
If
Why your baby shower just can't be a gender reveal? That's what I'm saying. That makes sense.
To be fair, I have seen people who do gender reveals, and it'll be just like, thank you. I have people. I know people who've done gender reveals, and it's just been like them like
their immediate
father,
family.
mom, dad,
Their immediate
and then,
family.
like,
Not this
grandparents
big
just sitting there, like, that's
extravaganza.
it.
I'm not talking about that. That's different. You know
No,
what
I'm
I mean?
saying like it's fairly common though. Like that's how most people, when you see the big ones, that's like the people who have like who want to be extra because they can afford to be extra.
But no, see what you just said?
No, they wanna live up to the Joneses.
Right, there you go. Because
It's a social media
this
thing.
is what I'm saying.
They
So
want
much
to
people are
floss.
having. I'm not saying a gender reveal wasn't a thing because you would always like once you find out who it is, you
Right.
celebrate with your family. That's normal.
Right.
With your immediate family, that's normal. I'm talking about these people that's going out and having big events, getting a whole
Hire a plane to blow
different
smoke
kinda-
out of it
blow
over your
different
head.
kinda
No,
smoke,
gender
all of
reveals-
that.
my gender
bust
reveal,
things and
it's gonna be on the same time my baby shower. And we all gonna be like in a pasture, like a meadow, by the forest.
We
And
grazing?
and
What's happening?
We gonna release doves. But when we release doves, there's gonna be like obviously like
She got
nothing
land in
dangerous.
St. Cloud, FYI.
No, actually, matter of fact, we're not gonna do doves. I'm gonna do butterflies because you can get blue butterflies and you can get pink butterflies. And I'm gonna do butterflies, and it's gonna be in my baby shower too. And I'm gonna release the butterflies into the sky, and it's just gonna be a sky of pink or blue.
Daryl,
Ideally
this is
pink
what we got
because
to look
I want a
forward to.
girl. Ideally pink. I don't want to.
I have one rule.
I might. No, I would come in.
You have one
writing
rule?
I have one rule.
What's-
Because I feel like us we just get, as a society we getting too ridiculous with these extravagant. Like everybody want to do it bigger than the other. Okay, if you're having a baby shower, right? You can't spend more on your baby shower than you could put in a bank account for that child when it's born.
Amen.
Obviously.
No, that's
Amen.
not obvious.
No, because a lot of
these
people blow out money
are
on their
going and
gender reveals.
doing all these big gender reveals and baby showers, and then
Listen, they
your
spend as much
child,
as
you
a
get
wedding.
the actual person that you're celebrating, you're not preparing no kind of life for.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
No
man,
kind of
hey,
financial investment into the actual child.
Not me. But also, to be fair, how many of us have seen their bank accounts? How many of us has actually seen like how much money they put aside for their kids?
Okay, correct,
Like
but
we haven't. Like you don't know.
correct. But as a society, you could look at a certain person and tell if a
So
certain
you're
person
making
is
an
struggling.
assumption, is what you're
No,
telling
I'm not making assumptions.
That's exactly what
I'm-
that
I'm
is.
not-
If you
I
don't
know.
have the facts, it's an assumption.
It's not assumptions. It's not assumptions. It's not assumption because if I've hung with somebody, right, and you're more comfortable in a certain area,
That's what I'm saying. If they
but you're-
told you, that's different.
I'm not asking. You don't got to tell me nothing. We're visual people. We could see a lot. You know what I mean? I can go and see where you live. You know what I mean? I can see what you eat. I can see what you drive. You don't have to be a certain kind of person to show luxury, to show that you're going to do certain things. I'm not saying but you're not going to live certain places. Close people to you are not going to go through certain struggles. It's just certain things don't happen if you're financially free. With financial freedom comes a certain lifestyle. And you can
And
look at a
thought
certain
process.
person.
And thought process.
And thought process, you know what I mean? Like a broke person, and you're not just broke because you don't have money, because you can give a broke person $1 million and they'll be broke in a couple months, if that. So you know what I mean? Like it's just I'm just saying. Just saying.
Hey man,
Just saying. Just saying.
I just be seeing videos on Instagrizzle, and a lot of the people I be seeing videos on Instagrizzle, they have the followers to match. And then when they baby born, their baby wearing all these like.
But
they probably
that's
got-
endorsements, right?
Oh, yeah, it's
That's,
usually
they
like
do
endorsements,
it
that's
for the
fine.
gram.
But
Also, listen. A lot of people feel like just because you see followers does not equal money. You have to know what to do as a business person to capitalize when you got the followers. There are people out there that got millions of followers that's not getting no bread. I promise you.
Yeah, I know.
I know a couple people that got mad followers.
Well,
that's not
listen, we
getting
need to get
bread.
them on the show because we need them million
Well,
followers.
You know,
they're
man,
like, yeah,
you
no,
know what, man?
there
Listen,
are certain types of people who.
some people they're not getting paid off it. You have to
Yeah.
know business.
This is why I
get
said
paid
get
off.
them on
Well,
the show because we need
It's
those
Social
followers.
media, it's strange when it comes to those followers. Like people will have the followers, but if they're not accepting,
And
those
then you got
brand
people
deals, if
that
they're
that
not
pay.
accepting those
What is it?
things-
They pay for followers now.
Yeah, you got people because
Yeah,
listen,
that's also another thing. People, you could say like, oh yeah, they have this amount of followers and they're not getting paid, but next thing you know, they
They
actually need the
paying.
ones to pay for the
Right.
followers.
Right, but then for instance, right, you could have a thick chick, like a beautiful body, right, and you just posting the regular pictures of yourself, but there's freaks out there, so because
Oh, I know.
you're a
I know who you're
sexiest-
talking about.
they're gonna follow, and if you're not doing nothing and you're just posting pictures, you're gonna get the followers. Now, if you was to decide to go and open up an OnlyFans or something like that, you'll definitely bank. But if you don't do that or try to put yourself out there in that manner, because that's the kind of following you have, you're not going to make bread. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of people out there that have followers that's not making money.
Also, like, for real, like, a lot of those people who, like, you know, like, sex sells type Instagram, like, most of the times, if you were to look at their DMs, it's just like BBL brands that are in their DMs, like, "Hey, love, I'll send you these clothes for like."
Facts.
Like, I mean, it's
Facts.
like they could really capitalize just based off of just affiliate programs.
We
and things
need
of
them
that
on
sort.
the
saying. They
show.
just-
If you guys are one of those people, we need you on the show because we need y'all followers.
They
So
don't know how to capitalize.
we can capitalize on
That's
your
it.
followers.
Not
Thank
like
you.
we want to capitalize on followers because we care about just getting our talk on, our opinion, and we just want to talk. We want to be real.
Indeed.
We don't care about followers, you know what I mean?
Wait a
we
minute.
just want to we're
Wait a
organic
minute.
and real people, you know what
I mean, I really don't care about followers.
we're
I mean,
just-
if you
we just
rock with
use
what
it
we
for it.
say, chop
Right,
with us. But
exactly.
this is our conversation off camera. You know what I
That
mean?
hence,
Like-
hence why we
No,
decided
actually,
to do
though,
a
right.
podcast because these were
definitely be
actually
like, hold up,
regular,
hold up.
regular
Let's just get the
conversations.
camera going. Let's just get the camera
Right.
going. Hold up.
like this is not like, you know what I mean?
This
We're
is
not
just-
we're not putting on for the camera.
Can you
like,
imagine if we had a camera on our ride to Miami,
Yeah.
how that would have been?
This,
We
this
oh
is
man,
just-
I wish I could have done that. I
Can
have,
you
like-
just
I have,
imagine
like,
the
I
amount
have
of
clip
conversations
videos.
and wild conversations we was having
I mean,
nonetheless?
to be fair, most of the time we were just yelling at him. Most
To
of the
be
time,
fair,
we were yelling
yes.
at him,
Wow.
but he was
Yeah.
not making the best decision.
And it definitely
You know
wasn't.
what? We had to clean that car out. And you know how much
Wow.
shake we found?
How much what?
Shake.
There was a lot.
Yo,
Yo, you were wearing it, bruh.
are you serious?
You were wearing
It was so bad.
it.
It was so bad. We went to the goddamn thingy thing.
You had to get it
car
vacuumed,
wash.
huh?
Deep clean.
Wow. Wow.
Hey, we're not getting off subject.
Nah, we not because we about to close.
Right.
Because
So-
we was at parental influence.
Now, to make a long
That's what
story
we
short,
were.
act right in front of your kids, and your kids will grow up to being right. Don't do anything stupid. You know
Stop-
that you can control. I should say.
Stop
Don't do
trying to
anything
hide real life from
Right.
your children.
stupid. Right, because they gonna see it
Because
another
they
way.
gonna figure it out one way or another.
Right.
So, for real, stop hiding life from your kids.
Be
Like,
real with your kids, but don't be discouraging with your children.
I'm gonna go from another angle.
Okay, go ahead.
Start articulating your words to your partner and finding out if what you expect has been seen by that person. Don't just generalize and say, I want a wife or I want a
I
husband.
actually really like that.
Ask
I
them
do.
if they've seen what you're asking for. And if not, articulate your words to let somebody know what you're looking for.
That
So,
positive influence.
Sorry.
on that note,
Yeah.
it's been
Yeah, I'm
real.
just saying, I can't be a husband if I've never seen a husband.
I mean, but that's why I said I actually like the fact that your therapist brought that up because that makes me think too. Like, damn, have I seen what I'm looking for? I mean, I have.
a lot of people be like, yeah, I'm a husband, I'm a wife, I'm a husband, I'm a wife. But if you a wife and the only view of a wife you've seen is a wife that got beat up or a wife that got cheated on or a wife that, you know what I mean, you're not the wife, you know what I mean? So make sure their vision is your vision. That's
And
all.
they're out there, guys. So I know we like to say that it doesn't exist, but they do. They
Yeah.
do. Just
Learn how to put your words, your vision into words.
yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Amen to that. So on that note, it's been real, y'all. Thank you for joining us on another hot topic, another conversation on Hot Talk Real Talk. It's your girl Empress Davy alongside.
Your boy Mad Trini.
Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and share. He about to be a whole 5-year-old in these swings. So on that note, yeah, please like, subscribe, and share on all platforms, including and especially YouTube. So we'll catch y'all on the next episode, and we out. Woo!